Hi guys, welcome to Hustlefreewealth. In 2014, I was four times my annual income in debt. No real investments. Half my salary went in EMIs. Today, I have investments worth 54 times my annual expenses, and I am financially free years before traditional retirement. This video is to not boast about how quickly I achieved financial freedom. I am making this video because plenty of people wrote in the comments on my previous videos that they want to see the full journey of my financial freedom. This video is the raw, unfiltered story of how that happened step by step. Watch till the end because I will share the exact numbers, returns, and the biggest mistakes I made along the way. December 2014. This is where the story begins. I bought a house pressurized by my mother. On paper, it felt like an achievement. In reality, it put me around four times my annual income in debt. All my savings went into the down payment. And before taking home loan, I was live your life kind of guy. Saved nothing. My only investments till then were PF and one ULIP. The story of ULIP is that I went to the bank to book 5 years FD to save tax. I think it was Jan of 2012 or 11. And this person gifted me ULIP. Not a wise decision. And that is why financial literacy is of utmost importance so that nobody shoves you a product that you don't really want. In 2015, the EMI pressure started hitting me. Half my salary was going into the home loan and there wasn't much left to play with. That is when something flipped. I realized two things very clearly. One, my financial literacy was almost zero. Two, if I continued like this, I would probably never be free until 55. I'm not in favor of buying a home early in life, but for me, it was a blessing. Not financially, but from the behavioral standpoint. I used to splurge all my money and saved almost nothing. The pressure of home loan kind of changed my behavior, wanted to get rid of it, and that is when I stopped spending recklessly. So in 2015 and 16, I started aggressively prepaying the home loan. And in 2016, I started my first mutual fund SIP. The SIP was of 5,000 rupees a month. And that 5,000 rupee was divided into three funds. They were regular funds. One was Aditya Birla Sun Life Dynamic Fund. Second was HDFC Balanced. And third was Kotak FlexiCap fund. At that time, it was called as Kotak Standard, something like that. So that's where the mutual fund journey began. Also added VPF to my investments because I wanted some kind of forced discipline. So in 2018, things started to expand. My mutual fund SIPs continued. I started investing in ESOPs also. I also ventured into individual stocks. So by this time, I still had the home loan, but I had enough investments. So on paper, I could have closed it. I was no longer in debt. And that feeling was powerful. Technically in debt, but mentally starting to feel in control. In 2019, I also ventured into NPS. To be honest, I was scared of the lock in, and I did not really want my funds to get locked in for such a long period of time. But my tax outgo forced me to sit down and calculate, and that kind of pushed me into NPS. This phase was full of learning, reading, experimenting, and understanding how markets and products really work. By December 2020, my portfolio had grown about 11 times my annual expenses. The loan was still there, but the outstanding amount was less than half the original amount. So I had already prepaid half of the amount. I had learned that prepaying home loan was not a prudent decision and was deliberately dragging it. Then comes December 2021, and by December 2021, I had reached 17 times my annual expenses. Then 2022, 21 times my annual expenses. By 2023, 30 times my annual expenses. And in December 2024, I hit 44 times my annual expenses. The home loan was also cleared by this time. So from that point, work became a choice, not an obligation. So as of November 2025, my portfolio stood at 54 times my annual expenses. By the time I'll do the portfolio update for December, the portfolio would have crossed 55 times. And this is the reason why I started this YouTube journey also, because what I realized is that within 6-7 years you could achieve financial freedom, and I think it is imperative that everyone achieves that. Now you might be wondering, how did a live your life kind of person became suddenly obsessed with financial freedom? There were a few triggers. First, the sheer amount of home loan that I had, that became a constant mental pressure. It made me realize how fragile my situation was. I had dependents, and if things went wrong, then they could be in a situation which I never wanted them to be in. Second, as responsibilities increased, I started learning about finance and realized if I didn't change, I would probably end up working till 55 years or maybe till 60. And then my personality type also. I'm not a yes sir kind of guy. So I never wanted to be in a place or in a situation where I had to say yes sir at work just to protect my paycheck. So for me, financial freedom wasn't about luxury. It was just about being able to say no or even I quit without putting my dependents at risk. And that thought became the biggest motivation for me. Now, let's talk about what actually worked and what I learned. So, excuse my French here, but SIP is shit. Regular investing is not, but SIP is shit. Do not reduce your investments, do not lower down your investments, but don't do SIPs. SIPs are a way for you to invest when the markets are overvalued also, or maybe the fund is overvalued. What this really means is blindly worshipping SIPs without understanding asset allocation or the valuation of the fund that you are investing in. That is dangerous. I made a video on why blind SIPs should not be done. I'll link that in the description. But please understand, I'm not saying that invest less, invest more if you can, but SIP should not be done. Go watch that video for full information. Second is spend on what genuinely adds value to your life. Uh, I never spent on anything that was meant to show society that I had money. I still spend, but mainly on things that matter to me and my family, not for Instagram, not for society, not for my neighbors. Then third is the usage of credit cards. Credit cards saved me a lot of money. It is still saving me a lot of money. I do all of my spendings on credit cards. And I invest all of my expense in liquid funds. Fourth one is do not chase hype. There'll always be something that will be hot in the market. Recently we have seen with gold and silver. Last 2 3 years it was equity. Then there was this crypto. There'll always be something that will be hot. The worst performing mutual fund in my portfolio is the one where I chased returns and hype. Then comes respect taxes. Taxes take a big chunk. It is worth spending time to plan your investments in a tax efficient way. Yeah. Then comes asset allocation. It is hard but crucial. Deciding how much should be in equity, debt, and gold is not just a one time work. It should be done regularly throughout your life. And I have made a video where I studied 25 years of rolling returns and point to point returns as well. I'll link that in the description. Then this is something that I recently learned in the last 2 3 years, that once your portfolio becomes big, risk management becomes more important than returns. Losing 30% on a small portfolio might hurt your ego. But losing 30% on a large portfolio hurts your lifestyle. Another thing that I learned was that having multiple index funds is not harmful. Uh, in fact, my returns got a boost every time I invested in an index fund which was not performing. Another learning was that one should not, rush to prepay home loan. I've made a separate video on why closing your home loan or prepaying your home loan should not be an automatic choice. What is not included in the portfolio? So just to be transparent, there are few things I did not include in my portfolio. One is inheritance. Second is the real estate that I own. As of early December 2025, so overall stock market exposure, including SGBs and ETFs, that is around 21.5%. For mutual funds, around 14%. It has been pulled down by one poor performing fund, and that is why I say that do not chase hype or do not chase the best performing fund. Then, for SGBs alone, the return is 36%. For NPS, it is around 14%. So overall portfolio returns, including equity, debt, arbitrage, PF, PPF, liquid fund, equity savings funds, etc., is approximately 14%. So what I have not included in the return is my ESOPs. So I get some additional shares every quarter, and calculating the return is really complex. It's not worth time, so I have not included that. In terms of asset allocation, including multi-asset funds, around 64% is in equity, 31% in debt, and roughly about 5% in gold. If you include the gold portion from the multi-asset funds, the gold allocation goes higher. But that is not the right way to review your asset allocation, because multi-asset funds usually have 30 to 50% in equities, and Parag Parikh holds 75% in equities. If I just include the equity portion in all of the mutual funds, my ESOPs, my stock market portfolio, that comes to around 57.8% in equity, 37.2% in debt, and 5% in gold. The gold could have been higher, but then it is very difficult to find out from multiple multi-asset funds. So what are the key takeaways from this video? You don't need to start perfect. In 2016, I started with just 5,000 a month. So what matters is getting brutally honest about where you are today, then deciding that you don't want to be financially fragile, and then making a 5-year plan and sticking to that. Compounding looks very boring in the first few years and unbelievable in the later years. Most people quit in the boring phase. If this journey gave you clarity or hope, consider subscribing to the channel, and do write your questions in the comments. I respond to almost every comment, and you can also let me know the topic on which you want me to make the next video. And please consult a financial advisor before making any kind of investment decisions. This is just for educational purpose. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a blessed day.